Welcome back. My name is Kyla P. Barnes. I am your financial chef and coach with Ingles Art and Finance. I have my coffee prepared this particular round. So I wanted to set aside some time this Saturday. It's super early. It's like 10 a.m. maybe. I tend to rise earlier during the week and try to sleep in on the weekend. My point of recording this was to just bring you into my world, bring you into my former journey, to let you know and share some of my best practices so that you can be where you want to be. Most of us go to work to produce a living, but if you could do that on your own terms, wouldn't that be more rewarding when you want to take that route? And also, if you still want to go to work, you can. But the fact that you're able to self sustain yourself is very rewarding. It is. And so, what I'm doing is I'm just sharing a few of my practices. This video may not reach a lot of people, or it may reach a lot of people, but my goal is to give you a primer, like the books that I wrote, Pounds or Ounces, and a $230 trading habit, to continuously show you how the system works, to show you that through discipline and methodical practices, you can actually get your goal. Most of us don't reach our goal because we're not disciplined enough to continue going, and we may quit right before we see ultimate success. I remember a quote I learned a bit ago, maybe in undergrad, was that if you can learn what others won't learn and will not tolerate because they don't have the patience or allocate the patience for it, then you can position yourself to find what others miss. And when you look at that quote, or when you try to break up that quote in relation to making money, it's really the same thing. You could take a large goal like $1 million and break it up into weeks, months, days, and hours, and it becomes more digestible. It becomes more of something that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I am able to accomplish this goal. But when you see a very big number, we tend to get intimidated. This particular video is going to be on you reducing the intimidation and going more so into a disciplined practice. AI has allowed for us to advance as a culture, technology, medicine, automation, mathematics that were once complicated can now be done in seconds, if not a minute. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we disregard everything that has worked in all of the other previous times in our life. We have to take the new technology and pair it with the old ways as well. Think about history being a highway. You can move forward and you can move backwards. But one thing about moving backwards is it can be counterintuitive if you are going to move backwards to relive, to redirect, recorrect, to get more resentment, or even to condemn yourself. Then moving backwards is counterproductive. I use AI every day, maybe in a sense of research. You can spend hours researching something and then back testing and forward testing something, and then you'll still be standing at a place of like, well, should I move forward or not? But with AI, I use it for research. I use it technically to go find things that are either trending or not trending. So I read a fair amount of news items every single day. Even this morning before I got up, I was reading news items as I was awake in that newness of the day state. AI can simplify your research. This morning I went and searched for futures that were producing 8% or more on the week. Your question may be, why would I do that? Well, because it's profitable, to be honest. There were many traders in our history that have made money using futures, commodity options, and trading. One of the most notorious traders that I can think of is Jesse Livermore. He shorted the market before the crash around 1928, 1929. He warned others that the market was going to be shorting and told them to remove their money, but they were adamant in believing that it's going to keep going because that's what it has done. But he shorted the market. Initially, he was able to pull together around $2 million, but that $2 million turned into 100 by doing his research, and also by investing in futures and commodities. Other famous traders that have been very disciplined in their standard of how they engage in finding information and breaking apart that information to be profitable was John Paulson. He also shorted the market. Michael Burry around the subprime crisis, 2007, 2008, he shorted the market. Marty Schwartz is famous for shorting the market using commodities, futures, options. He also was very bullish on the market at different times. He practically coined double down, because there were sometimes positions weren't working, and instead of selling them, he actually would double down on them. Ed Sequoia, I'm trying to think of some others here. Mark Douglas, I think I already mentioned Paul Tudor Jones and Richard Dennis. They also made a fair amount of money investing in commodity stocks and futures. So let's talk about futures, because some individuals may not necessarily understand futures or how futures work, but futures are a raw ingredient product that we all use to build a finished product. Like this wall, it's drywall, but the particle to make the drywall would be considered a future. Pork bellies are considered futures. There are index futures, energy futures, metal futures, agricultural futures, currency, livestock, and even interest rate futures. So you can invest in any one of those across different platforms, or you can buy the ETF or the stock for it. And it's easier now to go invest in futures than it was before. Futures move somewhat like stocks, but I think actually sometimes futures are a bit more understandable than stocks, because stocks are based off of the company's performance. It's based off some macro, some micro environments. It's also based off of what the company's product is. But futures are different. Futures are based off of supply and demand. They have expirations. They have a cost of carry. They also are impacted by macro and microeconomic factors as well. But it's not as attached to a product. Like if I had to produce 26 of these cups, or I couldn't eat at the end of the week, I would be in that lab, in that manufacturing camp, trying to produce this cup. But if I only had to make sure that the white pigmentation was available and I'm right next to a quarry, I wouldn't say I would be working that hard, because I could just go get the raw item. That would be a very small, loose example of the futures market. Futures also trade somewhat similar to stocks, because they do move with seasons, and they also move with supply and demand, and they move with things that may impact the world on a larger scale, like war, like tension, like geopolitical events, and different things like that. So this particular video was to just get you in the mindset to go find investments, go find the trend. And you may find by going out there and finding the trend, you're actually going to be finding money, because there's more money available per square foot, per mile, than just our employers, but we have to go and find it. Lastly, I'll say that this coffee's good, but I'll also say, don't ever forget that how you produce money is not the way you'll always produce money. When you get a portfolio that gets up and running, and you're able to have your first comma at 10,000 and then move that to 20, 25, 50, 75, 100. After 100,000, you're going to find, like a lot of other traders and a lot of other individuals, entrepreneurs, real estate gurus, you're going to find once you break the 100,000, it's going to get easier. I don't know why that's the case, but it does get easier. Also, trust the math. If you were to take $20 of your money every single week and invest for a year, you would find yourself around $4,400. That's not the right number, but somewhere around that. So you do the math, 20 times 52, and then that's how much money you would have at the end of this year. But if you were to do that for 5 years in an interest rate environment that produced around 9%, which would be the S&P, you'd find yourself around $32,000. Again, that's about rough math. And if that's 32,000 in 5 years, then in 10 years, it has to naturally be higher. And that amount, let's say, is 88,000. So if you were to start today investing $20 a weekday, so it's Monday through Friday, for the next 10 years of your life, you literally create your own pocket of wealth. How you go make the $20 in the course of a day, that's up to you. But this video and all the other preceding and proceeding videos are to have you look at money differently. It is to have you critically examine where the money is and go to that pocket of money. You can find more in a state of abundance than you can in a place of scarcity. And that's where you have to get yourself to mentally first. And then the feet, the brain, the body is going to follow. My name is Kylie P. Barnes. I am your financial chef and coach with Ingles Art and Finance. I'll see you on the trading floor.